Hey everybody, Rose Matter here, and welcome to part 2 of my Song of Saya Let's Play. First of all, thank you guys so very much for watching the first part. I wasn't expecting it to be nearly as popular as it ended up being, so I'm glad you guys are enjoying it so far. I am, despite how completely messed up this game is. It definitely is interesting. So, we left the last episode with Omi going to Fuminori's place to give him a piece of her mind after he just completely verbally eviscerated, oh my gosh, what is her name? The girl who confessed her feelings to Fuminori. I'm so sorry. This is the problem with new Let's Plays, is it takes me some time to learn the names. Shoot. I can't remember. But anyway, so Omi looks like she's about to encounter Saya, and I don't think it's gonna go very well. I have a bad feeling that Omi is, she's gonna have a bad time. So anyway, we're gonna jump right in and we're gonna continue on with this horrifying game and see what happens next. Her anger had vanished, as if it was never there. Nevertheless, Omi sets foot into the hallway, leaving the door open so the cowbell won't ring. The floor creaks, setting her nerves on edge. Omi isn't sure why she's acting like a burglar, but something tells her to make as little noise as possible. The potency of the stink inside the house makes the whiff she caught outside pale in comparison. It's sickening, like rotten fish guts. Has food been left to spoil in the kitchen? She hears a bubbling sound up ahead. Stepping gingerly on the creaking floorboards, Omi makes her way to the end of the hallway. She finds rooms to both sides of her, one lit, the other dark, and chooses to look into the lit room. It's the kitchen, lit by must be the only window in the house not covered by a storm shutter. The sound she heard was the pot boiling on the stove, and on the chopping board next to it lies a butcher's knife and some half-diced carrots. A perfectly normal household scene with the light of the setting sun making everything the color of decomposing fruit. Something's wrong. Who is cooking here? And where did they go? Is anyone here? Omi calls, regretting it immediately as she realizes that her voice is shaking. Also, I had people ask me if I could read everything, and considering this is a short visual novel, I can do that for you guys. I'll let them say the things, but I'll read it as well. As her words echo vainly through the silent house, she begins to feel foolish and defenseless. Suddenly, she feels something cold seeping through her pantyhose. Ooh! She timidly reaches down to touch her feet. Her fingers come away covered with a viscous, olive-green slime, like the filthy water from a tank long clogged with algae and dead fish. The whole floor is covered with it. It must be the source of the stench. Omi now wishes she had worn her shoes inside, manners be damned. Oh boy. Oh boy. When she looks back ruefully the way she came, she realizes her current position is not visible from the entrance. This kitchen must be where the strange voice came from. The next room is probably the den. As she expected from the closed storm shutters, it's pitch black inside. Oh, good idea, Omi. Go more into the house. Ugh. These are the people in horror movies that get killed. Omi wants nothing more than to flee this house, but that would mean turning her back to the darkness, and that she simply cannot bring herself to do. Oh boy, oh boy, oh boy. Moved by some irrational compulsion, Omi sets foot into the den. It's too dark to see anything, and the stink is far worse than before. She slides her hand along the wall, feeling for the light switch. Finding it much sooner than she expected, she flips it on like it's her last hope. Oh, the colors. The colors. So many colors. The purple of entrails, the brown of rotten meat, the crimson of fresh blood, the yellow of fat. These colors and more that cannot be described cover every inch of the room in maddening array. The colors say all that needs to be said about the painter's hatred, malice, and insanity. Omi's legs give out from the shock, sending her to the floor. Slime immediately soaks through her jeans, its cold tendrils creeping up her legs, crotch, and her neck. Ugh! Her hand flies to her neck where it's greeted by another drop of chilly slime. So is this paint? Because they talked about painting the room, but is it something else, or is she just imagining it as something like slimy? Above her, something is dripping down on her head. Oh no, oh no. Making perhaps the worst decision of her life, Omi looks up. The predator clinging to the ceiling, poised to leap upon its prey. She sees it in every detail. Her mouth and nose are sealed before she can scream, and her belly, is torn open as something enters to feast on her innards. This escalated quickly. Oh, I knew she was probably not gonna make it out of that house, but I wasn't expecting it so soon. By the time she feels any of this, Omi has already gone mad. What? I bit the bullet and tried to take the train, but the rush hour crowds were so bad I had to get off halfway and walk. I'm running pretty late. Is Saya worried? I hope she's not mad. When I enter the yard, I realize the front door has been left wide open. Light from the living room is seeping out into the hallway, and I hear what sounds like someone smacking their lips. There's also a tantalizing fragrance in the air. Oh no! Oh no, Saya. Oh, I bet she's cooking Omi into the food, and it's going to be the one thing that Fuminori can stand to eat. So they're going to have to find more people to kill, to eat. That's where this is going, isn't it? That's where this is going. Is it Saya? I consider calling out to her, but decide to enter in silence and say, because it showed that she was cooking something. And the fact he says it's a tantalizing fragrance, I bet that's what it is. It's like everything's flipped. It's like Saya's this horrible monster, but he sees her as beautiful, and normal people as monsters, where he sees normal food as disgusting, but human flesh is probably delicious. Something smells strange, though not unpleasant. The aroma is quite soothing. In fact, it reminds me of Saya's hair. At first, I'm surprised by what I see in the living room. The floor is covered with what looks to be some kind of grass. Probably the source of the herb-like smell, and there are fruit or vegetable-like balls of varying sizes scattered everywhere. Oh my god, he sees guts and stuff as delicious things. Oh, Jesus. Saya turns around, her eyes wide with surprise. She looks away sheepishly, like a child caught at some prank. What are you eating? And that's why, when he says he never sees Saya eat, it's because she has to eat humans, I guess? What is she? What is Saya? This is, well, she stammers, so flustered that I suddenly feel bad for sneaking up on her. Remembering she's never eaten in front of me before, I realize that she must be quite embarrassed. Can I have one? I scoop up the closest fruit thing and pop it into my mouth, ignoring Saya's attempt to wave me off. It has a strange texture, soft and pliable like a peach or pear. When I bite into it with my back teeth, a succulent juice fills my mouth combined with a sharp, strong fragrance. It's unlike anything I've ever tasted. Yep. How did you make this? What did you use? It wasn't hard. I just took it apart and melted it a little to make it easier to eat. It's practically raw. Oh, so I'm wondering... Okay, so Saya... I'm wondering if the fact her father is a doctor has anything to do with maybe he did something to her to turn her into this? Because the thing is, like, I could think maybe she's got the same issue that Fuminori has. But the thing is that people still see Fuminori as human, whereas they see Saya as a monster. So I don't know. I'm so curious about what Saya is. I pick up a different lump, this one consisting of fruity flesh around a hard core. Ugh, tearing a chunk off in my mouth, I find it has a similar taste to the last one. Hey, are you okay? That's a... Yeah, even I can eat this. In fact, it's good. Oh, I wonder if they're gonna hunt down his friends and lure them into the house and kill them. Really? At first, Saya looks dumbstruck, but then she bursts out laughing. So this is what you like. Now I feel stupid for going to all that trouble. Is this what you always eat, Saya? Oh. So she could eat animals as well, I'm assuming? Yeah, though it's been a while since I've had one so big. I usually catch them in the nearby park, so maybe as long as they're alive and fresh, they don't necessarily have to be human? Because it's weird, like, I'm assuming he's eating meat and things, but if it's, like, cooked and prepared, but he has to eat, like, fresh meat? There's an impressive nature preserve not too far from here. I've never heard about fruits like that growing there, but, well, of course, they only look like fruits to me. They're really something else. maybe that's why she hang around the hospital, is maybe she was eating corpses and stuff if she has to eat flesh to sustain herself. But then again, she did just say that she normally eats things from the park. Sorry, I already ate the best parts.
いいよ、また今度で。でもこれで明日から一緒に食事ができるね。
That's okay. There's always next time, and now we can eat together. I wonder how long she's gonna let him do this without telling him what he's eating. Yeah. Saya seems really happy. I'm happy too, of course. Eating with someone is much more fun than eating alone, and it makes the food taste better too.
まだまだいっぱいあるし、食べきれない分は冷やせば2、3日は大丈夫だよ。ちょっと味は落ちるんだけどね。
There's still plenty left. It'll keep chilled for 2 or 3 days, though it won't taste as good.
じゃあ早めに片付けておこうか。
Then we better start putting it away. Sealing the small fruits in Tupperware and the large ones in pots and bowls, Saya and I store the remaining food in the refrigerator. Thinking of tomorrow's dinner fills me with anticipation. I feel that little by little I'm starting to regain the joy of living. Saya will guide me. With her, I can live on. Damn. True Scary Stories, Hospital Edition. Chapter 4, The Monster in the Hospital. Okay, so we're going to get into Saya here, I'm assuming. A medical student relates his shocking experiences. Will you believe him or not? Strange things started happening at the hospital around the end of last spring. It began with patients waking up in the middle of the night screaming. They all spoke of terrifying nightmares, and many of them had to be sedated. Some patients even transferred to other hospitals because of it. Okay, so yeah, it makes sense, right? She wanted to scare people, but to people, she looks like a monster. Weird thing was they'd all had exactly the same dream, a dream about some horribly disgusting monster staring down at them from their bedside. But the really strange stuff started happening after that. There used to be a lot of stray cats. Oh no, around campus looking for scraps from the students. No, not the kitties! Oh, one day the cats suddenly disappeared, and it wasn't that they'd stopped coming. It was more like they'd vanished from the area entirely. And then people stopped oh no, dogs too! Oh no! Okay, so the dog... Okay, never mind, I read ahead. People stopped walking their dogs around. According to rumors, the dogs were refusing to go anywhere near the school. Dogs are smart, they catch up on that stuff. I hope she hasn't eaten any dogs. I love dogs and cats. Eventually, things started going missing in the hospital. Organs, to be precise. Transplant organs kept disappearing from storage. People came close to losing their jobs over it. And it wasn't just 2 or 3 times it happened. They tried to keep it from the students, but we heard it was a lot worse than that. People started saying there was something living in the hospital. The janitors would find strange messes that could have only been made in the middle of the night. Traces of something that had crawled down in the hallway or weird stains caused by something dripping through the ceiling. The late shift nurses talked about hearing strange noises on the same nights that patients woke screaming. There's one last story, one you can never mention inside the hospital. One day, the obstetrics? Oh my gosh. Obstetrics? I don't know what that means. Department went crazy. They said a newborn... Oh no. Oh no, baby eating. Oh no. They said a newborn disappeared in the night. Oh no, if that were true, the police would have come and it would have been all over the news, but they say the big shots managed to make it all go away. It's just a rumor, of course. I mean, I love dogs and cats, and that breaks my heart to think that they could be eaten, but a baby! Damn, this pulls no punches. We're talking about cannibalism, we're talking about baby cannibalism? These strange incidents suddenly stopped toward the end of summer. Now there are almost no patients complaining of nightmares, and the cats have started coming back to campus. But still, what happened in the hospital that summer? Even now, just thinking about it gives me the creeps. Nothing. This is the 3rd day in a row they haven't been able to get in touch with Omi. Oh, there's no sign she returned to her apartment, and even her family doesn't know anything. Her parents have already filed a missing persons report.
まあ、あいつのことだからな。何事もなかったみたいに、ひょっこり顔出しそうな気もするんだが。
Well, you know her. She'll probably just pop up somewhere like nothing happened. That was her name, Yo. I hope so, Yo replies with a gloomy expression. She's worried about Omi, of course, but the incident with Fuminori 3 days ago must still be weighing on her as well. Yo hasn't seen Fuminori since then, and Fuminori hasn't made any effort to approach her or Koji. 4 people used to meet in this cafeteria between classes, but now there are only 2.
ねえ、殿くん、もう一度考えてみようよ。ど
Oh
こか
no.
おみちゃんの行きそうな場所に
Oh
心当た
no.
りない？
They're gonna walk right into the house, aren't they? Hey Koji, let's keep thinking. Isn't there somewhere Omi might have gone?
いや、一通りは確かめたしな。
No, Koji answers evasively. I already checked everywhere. It's a lie, of course. Koji knows where Omi planned to go that evening, but he doesn't want to bring Fuminori up in front of Yo. Their awkward silence is mercifully broken by the bell signaling the start of the next period.
じゃあ、俺行くわ。
Well, I've gotta go.
うん。
Yeah. Unless Koji is mistaken, Yo is supposed to have class next period too, but she just sits there, staring off into space. Unable to come up with anything to say, he leaves the cafeteria reluctantly. Both Omi's disappearance and Yo's depression worry Koji, and both problems lead back to the exact same place. Oh, he's probably gonna go himself?
海のりは一体。
What the hell is Fuminori doing? When Omi went missing, the first thing he did was question Fuminori. After all, the last time he'd seen her was just before she stormed off to give Fuminori a piece of her mind. Fuminori responded with unequivocal denial and acted like he hadn't the slightest idea why Omi would have gone to see him. Perhaps that was only natural, as he was unaware that Omi and Koji had witnessed him reduce Yo to tears. Did Omi even make it to Fuminori's house? She had been riding a wave of emotion when she left and might have calmed down and changed her mind halfway there. Or perhaps she ran into trouble on the way? Koji concluded, or more accurately convinced himself, that one of these possibilities was the truth, subconsciously denying the one remaining possibility, that Fuminori was lying, that he had met Omi and was involved with her disappearance. When questioned by the police, Koji told the truth about Omi's destination only up until the train station, maintaining he had no idea where she planned to go after that. Man, after all that, he still wants to defend his friend. He wanted to cooperate with the search, of course, but Omi couldn't have made it to Fuminori's house. Fuminori said so himself, didn't he? In that case, he told the police everything they needed to know. Not wanting to get the still fragile Fuminori involved, he forced himself to accept this flimsy logic. But the conflict had built up inside him without him noticing, leaving unanswered suspicion to fester in his mind. Koji is deep in thought, paying no attention to his surroundings, but perhaps that is what allows him to catch sight of his friend's back through the crowd of milling students.
海のり。
At first, Koji assumes that he's headed to the lecture hall, but it soon appears that he is instead going home. Strange, medical students have required courses in the afternoon. Though he's initially surprised, Koji's hesitation lasts for only a second. Oh, is he gonna follow him? Oh, no. He follows his friend, taking care to stay far enough behind that he won't be noticed. Damn, I think we're about to lose another one. Fuminori wasn't going home, as became obvious when he boarded a train heading in the opposite direction. Koji's next guess, he was going to see his doctor at the T University Hospital, but Fuminori rode straight through the closest station.
どこに向かってる？
Where is he going? At first, Koji felt ashamed for tailing his friend like this, but his conscience fell silent as Fuminori's actions grew more mysterious. The stranger it gets, the closer Koji feels to discovering the truth behind Fuminori's sudden transformation. Any knowledge would be welcome, no matter how slight. Even Koji is beginning to think there must be more behind Fuminori's change than the accident alone. He wants a more satisfying answer, one that will help him decide whether Fuminori can still be trusted. Fuminori gets off at a small station in a nondescript suburb of Tokyo. Koji follows, trying not to lose sight of him amid the other disembarking passengers. The area is quite desolate, with only a small bookstore, a convenience store, and a market in front of the train station. It's easy for Koji to keep Fuminori in view. This neighborhood was carved out of the Fuji foothills, and here and there remain steep inclines and wooded areas that escaped assimilation. Koji's amazed that such a quiet place exists less than an hour out of central Tokyo. Fuminori seems to know these streets. He moves quickly and purposely through the suburban community, his eyes fixed straight ahead. Before long, Fuminori reaches a house. Without ringing the bell or even knocking, he opens the door and vanishes inside, leaving Koji to wonder how Fuminori can treat the house as his own. After waiting to see if Fuminori comes out, Koji approaches the gate and checks the nameplate. I'm guessing that's Saya's place, or where her and her dad used to live. Ogai, yep. Koji has never heard of anyone by that name among Fuminori's acquaintances. Next, his attention is drawn to the thick wad of leaflets sticking out of the mail slot. This, coupled with a general dilapidated feel of the place, suggests it has been abandoned for some time. A small playground about 2 blocks away provides an adequate vantage point from which to watch the front of the Ogai house. Fortunately, it does not appear to be the sort of house that has a rear exit. Koji settles down on a bench to begin his stakeout. I should have brought more smokes. 1 hour passes, and then another, but there remains no sign of movement around the Ogai residence. Soon twilight settles upon the neighborhood. After Koji's 1 pack of cigarettes runs out, the stakeout becomes a battle against mounting impatience. He kills time by redialing Omi on a cell and sending her short text messages, but his efforts are futile as he knew they would be. When the sky begins to turn deep blue and the streetlights come on, Fuminori finally emerges from the house and heads back toward the station with the same hurried stride. After some brief consideration, Koji decides that right now investigating the house is more important than tailing Fuminori. He rings the doorbell just to make sure. After receiving the expected silence in response, he checks to make sure no one is watching and turns the doorknob. The door is not locked. The moment he enters the house, stale air thick with mold and dust fills Koji's nostrils. It's the unmistakable smell of a house that has long lain untouched. There is also a faint hint of something else in the air, something reminiscent of damp sewers and fetid cisterns. Flipping the light switch does nothing. The power must be cut off. Koji uses his cigarette lighter to illuminate the immediate area. In the thick dust covering the floor, he sees several brand new trails of footprints that could only have been made by shoes. Fuminori's. Koji decides to follow suit and dispense with courtesy. He enters with his shoes on. The lighter's flickering flame pushes back the deadly silence and gloom of the house. Koji is surprised to see evidence of life remaining. Everything from furniture to tableware and appliances. Nothing seems to be missing. The thickness of dust suggests the house has been empty for several months, which means the owner must have left with little more than the clothes on his back. Could he have gone on a long vacation? The calendar in the den is still turned to April. Empty and silent, yet still exhibiting signs of life that was once lived there, the house reminds Koji of a passenger ship entombed at the bottom of the sea. In the graveyard-like quiet, a sinister thought suddenly enters his mind. No one is living here, but that does not have to mean the owner left. Maybe he was murdered and his rotting corpse is right under Koji's feet. He finds himself wanting a stronger light. A flashlight in his hand would make him feel much better. Koji follows Fuminori's footsteps to the second floor, where he begins to catch the scent of paper in the stale air. It's the smell of old books, instantly recognizable to anyone who has worked in an antique bookstore or library. The first room on the second floor turns out to be a study, its towering shelves packed with such a vast number of books that Koji fears for the stability of the floor. As a medical student himself, he is able to discern at a glance that the study belongs to a medical professional, and a high-level one at that. Judging by the content of the books, a smorgasbord of technical volumes far beyond a simple student's understanding, the owner's interest lies more with medical research than with clinical practice. Fuminori must have spent most of his time here. Scattered dust suggests he was searching for something, and the contents of the desk drawers are in obvious disarray. The titles are meaningless to him. Traité de chiffres appears to concern semiotics, but Al Magna et Ultima is some kind of treatise on divination? And then there's the Voynich manuscript, which looks like some sort of picture book. When he pages through it, he finds the text utterly incomprehensible. Maybe it's some kind of cipher. Whatever they are, they clearly have nothing to do with medicine, refuting Koji's earlier guess that this Ogai was a doctor. Looking down, Koji suddenly notices the glint of something black and metallic underneath the chair. A pocket-sized flashlight, quite out of place among all these dusty books. Fuminori must have brought it in. With relief, Koji exchanges his lighter for the flashlight. Its tiny body emits a powerful white beam that casts away the darkness. His courage restored, he decides to explore the rest of the house.
Hmm?
Koji notices something strange, something that was not visible in the lighter's weak flame. The slime. Oh, dark, oily stains are everywhere. The stains are especially thick around the doorknobs and stair banisters, like someone grasped them with hands wrapped in greasy cloth. Looking closer, he sees places where slime was splashed low on the walls, almost as if a wet mop was run violently across the floor. Could Ogai have made these marks? If so, how? Koji begins to feel sick as he imagines a man shambling through the house with slime dripping from his body. Finding the bedroom next to the study, Koji checks the closet on a hunch. He discovers 2 empty suitcases, not what one would leave behind when going on a long vacation. A sudden chill runs through him. Whoever was living here is still somewhere inside the house. Suppressing the urge to flee, Koji goes back downstairs to check the first floor. Man, him and Omi! 2 birds of a feather. If he finds a corpse, he'll have to call the police right away. He might get away with trespassing if he reports it first, but if they find the body later, it'd be awfully hard to explain his fingerprints all over the house. A flashlight reveals the den to be covered in even more slime than the rest of the house. The sofa looks as though it was dredged from the bottom of a swamp. In the kitchen, Koji takes one look at the sink and decides not to get any closer. He doesn't want any more fuel for his imagination. He reaches the door to the bathroom. A common scene from TV dramas flashes through his head. A body with slit wrists floating in a bathtub full of water. And wasn't there a movie where a hitman disposes of his victim in a bathtub filled with lye? Koji braces himself for the worst and opens the door slowly, and shines his light into the ceramic bathtub that appears from the darkness like a white ghost. Bones. A mountain of bones, black with dry flesh and blood. Koji puts one hand against the wall to steady himself as his legs threaten to buckle. Something is wrong, he realizes, as he tries desperately to get his thoughts in order. The bones are too small, and there are too many of them. They aren't human. Okay, at first I was like, please God, don't let it be a baby. Don't let it be babies. They're not human. After taking several deep breaths to calm himself, Koji enters the bathroom and examines the tub. Wait, why do I have a feeling something's gonna come up behind him and kill him? The bones are piled atop each other like fallen leaves. They appear to be from small animals, perhaps cats or dogs. Even so, the quantity is mind-boggling. How many bodies would it take to produce this many bones? The bones have all been separated from one another, so it doesn't look like bodies were just thrown into the tub and left to rot. Each bone is covered with deep grooves, marks left by teeth biting through flesh. Koji's sanity won't let him consider the possibility that a human could have done this. The owner of this house must have kept some sort of carnivorous animal as a pet, giving it the bones of small animals to eat and disposing of the remains in the bathtub. But why not dispose of the leftovers properly? They could have just been thrown out with the garbage. Or was there something keeping him from leaving the house? The relief Koji felt when he realized that the bones weren't human is once again under attack. In the first place, what the hell was Fuminori doing here? Oh shit, oh shit, oh shit. What's wrong, Koji? Oh shit. I wasn't expecting Fuminori of all people. Koji whirls around his light, revealing Fuminori's expressionless face.
不法侵入だぞ、Koji.
You're trespassing.
お前だって同じだろうが。
So are you, Koji replies, barely managing to speak over the pounding of his heart. Fuminori pushes past Koji and looks in the bathtub. He doesn't even flinch at the sight of the bones.
僕はこの家の人と知り合いなんだ。頼まれて探し物をしに来ただけさ。
A friend of mine lives here. I'm just running an errand.
知り合いっていつから一体何者なんだ
What? Who is this person? Where did you meet them? Koji doesn't want to believe that the old friendly Fuminori could have had contact with the Denzians of this house.
いずれお前にも紹介するよ。僕の恩人とも言える人だから。
I'll introduce you one of these days, he says, turning to leave without even a glance at Koji. I owe her my life, so if he knows what he ate, then that is very foreboding. Then he's like, oh, I'll introduce you, and then we'll eat you.
おい、Fuminori!
Fuminori! Koji runs after Fuminori. His heart is finally beating normally again.
お前まさか近頃様子がおかしいのはその知り合いっていうやつのせいなんじゃ
Wait, is this friend of yours the reason you've been acting so strange? Standing in the entrance, Fuminori glares coldly at Koji over his shoulder. The utter lack of emotion in his eyes gives Koji pause.
僕の後をつけてきたんだね。
You followed me, didn't you? Koji swallows. What can he say?
そういうのは迷惑だ。二度とやらないでもらいたい。
You're starting to bother me, Koji. Don't do it again. Fine. Fuminori walks away without another word, leaving Koji alone in the entrance. Up until this very moment, concern for his friend was still at the forefront of his mind. Now, however, that concern is swiftly giving way to a growing sense of dread. Does the Fuminori he knew no longer exist? Was the person who just stared Koji down an imposter wearing Fuminori's skin? Koji has begun to believe it might be so. What a nuisance. Why does he insist on interfering? If he only spoke with me to exchange pleasantries, even I could bear it, but now he's sticking his nose in my business just to satisfy his curiosity. Koji is a perfect example of someone who thinks it's always good to take an interest in other people's affairs. He probably thinks he's doing me a favor by prying into my life. He couldn't be more wrong. If he keeps this up, I might have to find some way to deal with him. Like Saya said, I have to keep my search for Dr. Ogai a secret. Koji could ruin everything. I didn't have time to fully investigate the Ogai residence today. At this rate, it will probably take several days just to go through the study. Saya didn't believe I'd find anything to help with the search, but I think there's still a lot to explore. Who knows what I'll discover? The problem is Koji. He knows about the house now. Will he make things difficult? Excuse me, a hair-raising voice calls as I'm about to pass through my gate. Suppressing a shudder, I put on a fake smile and turn to face the writhing mass of rotten flesh that is staring at me with bulging eyes. Good evening. Are you just getting home? Yes, I am. Of course. This is my next-door neighbor, Suzumi, a middle-aged painter, I think, who spends all day at home while his wife works. I haven't had much contact with him since the accident. Why is he suddenly talking to me now? Have you gotten used to living alone? Yes. Thank you for your help. I know it must be very difficult, but you're still young. You have to try to move on with your life. Yeah. What is this? Did he just stop me? Did he stop me just to deliver a lecture? With such a big house, it must be hard to take care of everything by yourself. Yes, I suppose it is rather difficult. Why not hire a caretaker? Didn't your father have one? I'm still a student. I can't really afford the expense. I see. The flesh beast undulates foully, as though it still has something to say. The sight of it is driving me close to the edge. Even so, don't you think you should at least tend to your yard? I'd be happy to help. No, thank you. I'll manage on my own. Now I get it. He's worried that the unsightliness of my house might diminish the image of his own. Damn snob. I flash a token smile, then retreat behind the safety of my gate. I can feel Suzumi's eyes boring into my back all the way to the front door. Why won't everyone stay out of my life? I just want to live together with Saya alone where no one will ever bother us. Ooh, who's this? Oh, this must be the guy he literally just talked to. Suzumi Yosuke sighs in annoyance as he watches the neighbor boy retreat into his house. What's with his attitude? Even while talking, he kept his eyes averted as if to avoid looking at something repulsive. Has he always been such an unpleasant young man? No, of course not. While his parents were still alive, he had been a normal youth, a little shy, but sensitive and caring. It must be the stress of his sad situation. If it continues to build, he might start to develop serious mental problems. Or is it too late already, Yosuke wonders as he gazes warily at the Sakisaka yard. Even during dinner, Yosuke can't shake the neighboring house from his mind.
どうしたのあなた。難しそうな顔して。
What's wrong, honey? You look like something's bothering you.
今日ね、隣の家の息子に会ったよ。
Yeah, I saw the young man from next door today.
お隣のってふみのりお兄ちゃん？
Fuminori?
ああ、庭のこと一言言っておいた。
I just had to say something about his yard.
そうよね。せめてあの匂いだけはどうにかしてもらいたいわよね。
I know. I wish he'd at least do something about the smell. The stink coming from the Sakisaka house grows worse each day, and the Suzumi family is at its wit's end.
あの草むらの中に死んだ猫でもいるんじゃないかしら。でも住んでいて気づかないのかしらね。あの匂いに。
Could there be a dead cat in his bushes? He must notice the smell coming from his own yard.
まさかとは思うが、生ゴミをそのまま庭に捨てているんじゃあるまいな。
Oh, I have a feeling that the nosy neighbors are gonna be going. Maybe he's leaving his garbage out there.
そんな、いくらなんでもそこまで。
He wouldn't.
いや、今の様子だとやりかねん。一日中ずっと雨戸を閉め切って何をやってるのかもわからない。どういう暮らしをしているのやら。
No, I wouldn't put it past him. Who knows what he's doing in there all day with the storm shutters closed? What kind of life is he leading?
お兄ちゃん、頭おかしくなっちゃったのかな。
Did he go crazy?
これヒロミ、そういう言い方はダメよ。
Now, Hiromi, you mustn't say things like that.
いや、あれは本当にちょっとどうすぎてる。ひょっとしたら変質狂か何かかもしれんな。
Honestly, with the way things are going, I'm starting to wonder if he's gone paranoid or something.
大丈夫なのそれ。
Will he be alright?
早く自覚して医者にでも行ってもらわんことにはなんともな。
Unless he gets help soon, who knows? The seconds crawl by, each tick of the clock compounding my agony. When I returned from the Ogai residence, I was greeted by a silent, empty home. Saya had vanished without leaving any clue as to her whereabouts. It isn't rare for her to go for walks at night. I've often gone with her. However, such outings always take place in the middle of the night when no one is around and never last for more than 2 hours. Right now it's 5 in the morning. Soon the sky will begin to show the first light of dawn. Even if she left right before I returned, she's still been gone for almost half a day. I can't sleep. I can only wait in anguish. I try to distract myself by painting more rooms, but I couldn't concentrate on the work. If I had known this would happen, I would have left the Ogai house sooner. I wish I hadn't wasted time on Koji. If Saya doesn't return, the thought makes me want to tear out my hair. After its long absence, the terror of true loneliness is just too much to bear. At last, the cowbell chimes, and Saya's long-awaited "I'm home" rings out from the bottom of the stairs. As I jump out of my bed in relief, all of the stress that has built up through the night is released in a wave that threatens to sweep me off my feet.
疲れた。やっぱり往復すると遠いな。
Oh, so tired, Saya sighs as she climbs the stairs. I knew the trip would be hard.
さや、一体どこに？
Saya, where have you? My question trails off as I notice the thick bundles of paper that she's carrying under her arms.
それは
What are those?
ふみのりのカルテとか手術の記録。
Your,
今日は古巣の病院に行ってきたの。
your medical charts and surgery records. I went back to the hospital today. Saya drops her bundles on the floor, sending paper flying everywhere. Then pulls her favorite cushion over and collapses into it, stretching luxuriously.
こんな夜中に T 台から歩いて戻ってきたのか。
You walked all the way back from the hospital in the middle of the night?
ごめんね。本当はもっと早く帰れると思ってたんだけど、調べ出したらキリがなくて。
Sorry, she says, skillfully gathering the scattered papers together. I meant to come back sooner, but there were so many files to go through.
結局全部持ち出してきちゃった。
So I decided to just bring everything.
よかった。
It was so heavy. Maybe it's just the exhaustion, but I'm not understanding a word Saya is saying.
だからそんなもの持ってきてどうするつもりなんだ？
What are you planning to do with all this?
どうするって、もちろん調べるのよ。うちで時間かけてじっくり。
What do you mean? I'm going to study it, of course, she replies, holding one MRI photograph after another up to the light. I'll have plenty of time to go over it here. At first, I think she's just playing around, but the occasional mutters of, better check this one, oh, I see, well, that was silly of them, and the like as she separates photos into a growing pile beside her make me think this might not be a joke after all.
君わかるのかこういうの
Do you understand this stuff?
パパにいろいろと教わったから。
I learned a lot from Dad. She flashes me a grin, then returns to the papers. So that's how it is.
これじゃいつまで経っても直せないよね。
No wonder it can't be fixed.
直せないのか
It can't?
人間のお医者さんじゃね。
Not by a human doctor. I can't tell if she's being serious.
私でもまだちょっと難しいかな。いろいろと試してからでないと。
Even for me, it'll probably be tough, she says offhandedly, even as her hands continue to shuffle papers. I'll have to experiment first. Watching more closely, I realize her eyes are scanning each page rapidly. So rapidly, in fact, I was unable to notice it at first. Could Saya actually be reading my charts?
なあさや
Hey, Saya?
ん
Yeah, she answers coolly, looking up from the charts.
今日はもう疲れたし寝ないか
I'm tired. Let's go to bed.
ふみのりがそうしたいならそうする。
Sure, Saya replies with a grin, if that's what you want. Oh boy, Saya tosses aside the paper she was sorting, then leaps onto me and begins to tear off my clothes.
おい
Hey!
ね
Oh
え、寝る前
boy.
に一回だけ。
I still want to believe that she's not actually a child, maybe, but I'm like, I don't want to know why he pictures her as a child. So many questions. Come on, just once before bed, okay?
まあさやこう毎日続けてちゃ体に毒じゃないのか
Saya, don't you think it's unhealthy to be doing this every day?
え、ふみのり、どこか具合が悪いの？
Huh? Are you sick?
いや僕は別に
Exactly.
ちゃんと大人の体になっ
Exactly.
てるし
He's
平気なんだ
aware.
けど
He's aware.
でも
He's
さ
saying,
やはまだ
my body is all grown up, but you're...
平気だよ。
Don't worry. She laughs playfully as she pushes me onto the bed, the familiar sweet sensation of her weight and skin rendering me helpless.
平気なわけないだろ
Ugh.
今まで否認もしてないってのに
But I am worried. We haven't used any contraception.
ふみのりはさ、さやに子供を産ませるの、いや？
Fuminori, she whispers, staring straight into my eyes. You don't want me to have your children? How can I respond to that? It's like, you are a child. No. No.
いやも何もさやみたいに小さい体じゃ無理だって
It's
母
not
体の
that.
負担ってのは大変なんだぞ
Your body is too small. Pregnancy is a serious burden, you know.
ふみのりが心配してることって割と的外れなんだけど。
That's not really something you have to worry about. Saya seems unsure how to reply, but not because she doesn't understand what I said. Rather, the bemused look on her face makes it seem as though I'm the one not getting it.
でもそれってふみのりがさやのことを大事に思ってくれてるからなんだよね。それはそれで嬉しい。
But I know you're just thinking of me, she says suddenly, her smile glowing with innocence, so I'm happy. By the time I break the spell of her angelic smile, Saya has undone my belt and is removing my pants. I'm so glad I don't have to see this, at least.
なあおいだからさや
Come on, Saya.
大丈夫。じゃあ今夜はふみのりが心配しないような方法でしてあげる。
Relax, she says teasingly. Tonight I'll do it, so you don't have to worry. As she finishes, she looks up at me, smiling like she just pulled the greatest prank of her life.
これだったらふみのりだって心配ないでしょ？
See? You don't have to worry if I do it like this.
いやまあ
Oh, boy. What am I supposed to say to that?
ねえ、ダメだった？こういうのだと気持ちよくない？
Hey, was it bad? It didn't feel good? Hearing the sudden nervousness in Saya's voice, I hastily stammer.
そんなことない十分によかった
Of course it felt good.
でもさや何もあんなもの飲み込まなくたって
But Saya, you don't have to do that. Or you didn't have to do that. It's like he knows this is wrong, but he still does it.
そんな。あれはさやにちょうだいよ。
What? But I want it. Suddenly distraught, Saya clings to me like a child who's just had her candy stolen.
ふみのりのは一滴だけ残さずに欲しい。
Icky, icky, icky.
さやの中に出してほしいの。
I want you inside me.
中にって
Inside you? So Saya really does want to bear my child? I'm not averse to the idea. I still think it might be too early, of course, but there isn't much point in worrying about my reputation now. Assuming that Saya and I will be left alone, I even welcome it.
ふみのりは嫌？
You don't like it? She gazes up at me pleadingly. How can I resist? You can! You're a grown adult! You can! You can! You're just not.
嫌なんかじゃないさ。さやさえそれでいいのなら、僕だって。
I do like it. As long as you're okay with it, so am I. Saya smiles with relief and burrows contently into my chest.
ふみのり大好き。
I love you, Fuminori, she purrs softly. With her body draped over mine, I become even more aware of how light and delicate she is. Can this tiny girl and I really live as husband and wife? I feel a pang of self-loathing at the question. How can I still be afraid after all that's happened? Saya's feelings are so earnest. How can I not accept them? Because so many reasons. Children's feelings are earnest. All the time. Once again, I really want to believe she's not actually a child. I don't even know what she is, but I need to resolve once and for all to rid myself of the useless trappings of morality. Saya and I are all that matters. There's no point in worrying about what others think anymore. Although I suppose I should still talk to Saya's guardian, of course. I need to find Dr. Ogai as soon as possible. By the time I drift to sleep in exhaustion's comforting embrace, all doubts about Saya's actions have vanished from my mind. Whatever the case, all that matters is that she's returned to me. Two o'clock. For Suzumi Yosuke, this is the most fulfilling time of day. After seeing his wife and daughter off, taking care of the morning chores and eating a leisurely lunch, it's finally time to sit down at his easel. He's not a particularly popular painter, and he would only hold an exhibition if he were hurting for money. However, the design work he does on the side ensures that there's always enough to support his lifestyle. Alongside the salary his wife earns working for a magazine, they're able to pay the mortgage, send their daughter to school, and still have plenty left over. Yosuke's life is perfect, leisurely and absent of wants, and it's about to end soon, I have a feeling. He loves his house, considering it the symbol of his success. When he mows the lawn, polishes the windows and floors, and cleans the kitchen, toilet, and bath, he feels the same joy as he does when washing his own body. Just as he knows the length of his fingernails and the time since his last meal, he also knows everything about his home's condition. The status of every door, the freshness of every flower, the amount of ice in the ice tray, every last detail. This is his pride, and when he sits in his studio smelling the turpentine and knowing that each element of his house is in perfect order, he feels the ultimate satisfaction. While trying to find the right combination of paints on his palette, he suddenly feels thirsty, but soon remembers there isn't much orange juice left in the refrigerator. In fact, it's also about time to stock up on bath additive and powdered soap. He could get everything at the supermarket when he goes to shop for dinner, but it will probably be quite heavy. Now then, where should I leave off to go shopping? As he ponders this dilemma, he heads downstairs to the kitchen. Just then, a breath of air trickles the back of his neck, bringing him to a halt in the middle of the hallway. Oh, he's probably going to just storm over because of the smell from Fuminori's place. A breeze. Impossible. Every window in the house is closed. Yosuke shuts them himself during his morning cleaning. Uh-oh. Yosuke enters the living room searching for the source of the breeze. Ooh, something stinks. It's the same pungent smell of fetid swampland that emanates from the Sakisaka house. The window facing the yard next door is open, its curtains billowing loosely in the gentle breeze. There's a hole in the glass next to the lock. It looks strange, like it was melted by some chemical instead of broken. Someone must have reached through the hole to unlock the window. Yosuke stands paralyzed, his heart pounding with anger and fear. He listens carefully, but he hears nothing. Perhaps the intruder has already finished his business and left. But a burglar wouldn't have left the room untouched, would he? Maybe he heard Yosuke coming and hid somewhere nearby. Yosuke realizes his still wet palette knife is in his right hand. He must have forgotten to put it aside before going downstairs. He stares numbly at the knife for a moment, then decides it's not enough protection. Instead, he grabs the ashtray sitting on top of the table. Made of thick, solid glass that is big and heavy enough to serve as a weapon. The home that he thought of as part of himself now seems utterly alien. Keenly aware of the thumping of his heart, Yosuke looks around the living room and sees little that could be used as a hiding place. The intruder must have gone either to the guest room or through the dining room to the kitchen. The kitchen is close to the stairs. If there had been movement, Yosuke would have noticed it when he came down, which means the guest room is the most likely place. Once again, it's like instead of going to find the intruder, leave the house and call the police. He shuffles over to the guest room and prepares to slide it open. But what is this stench? Could the breeze alone carry something so foul? It's as if the odor is coming from inside the room. He readies his ashtray and throws it open the door. The straw-matted Japanese-style room is empty. There's a closet, but no one could fit in there. So the intruder already left. Yosuke relaxes, the exhaustion of sudden relief coming over him. Oh, and that is when something seizes his ankle. Oh, I didn't think it was going to happen like this. I figured he was going to barge into the house to, like, you know, give Fuminori a piece of his mind, but I didn't think that Saya was going to come into his house. The instant he freezes in shock, his leg is yanked out from under him, sending him crashing to the floor. Stars explode behind his eyes as his head smacks against the door rail. The hand, if it can even be called that, wrapped around Yosuke's ankle extends all the way back to beneath the living room sofa. There are barely 5 centimeters between the sofa and the floor. Whatever is hiding there, it can't possibly be human. Before the screaming Yosuke can regain his footing, countless hand-like appendages seize his arms and legs, rendering him helpless. Calm down, don't be scared. As the hideous voice burbles in his ear, something cold and soft crawls atop him. Yosuke can't even scream, his terror is so great. It won't hurt, don't be scared, it won't hurt. Thin, tube-like appendages penetrate his ears and nose, wriggling deep into his skull. Right before the sensation drives him mad, Yosuke loses consciousness. Oh boy. Oh, why couldn't she have just stuck to animals? I hate to say that, but I guess now that Saya knows that Fuminori likes the taste of, you know, human, I guess now she's like, I have to always provide him with that. So now she's just gonna reach out and start going after people. Thank you for taking the time to see us, Koji says, his humble bow concealing his surprise at the doctor's youth. Even without her light makeup, she wouldn't look a day over 30. She must be quite talented to be a leading neurosurgeon at such a young age.
いいのよ。あなたたちみたいな人が来てくれたのは私としてもありがたいところだし。
Don't mention it. I was hoping somebody like you would come along. Her friendly smile has none of the coldness one might expect from her sharp, refined beauty.
はじめまして。Sakisaka Fuminori君の主治医の田んぼです。
It's a pleasure to meet you. I'm Dr. Tanbo, Sakisaka Fuminori's attending physician.
フミノリの友人で殿浩二と言います。彼女は筑波陽。
I'm Fuminori's friend, Tono Koji. This is Tsukuba Yo. Yo gives a quick bow, her expression apologetic. When they arrived at the T University Medical Center and asked to see Fuminori's doctor, Koji and Yo had been prepared for rejection. They hadn't expected the ease with which their request was granted.
咲坂君の件について話が聞きたいっていうことだけど、それは私の方でも同じでね。
You say you want to know what's wrong with him. Well, so do I.
はあ。
I'm sorry?
彼、一昨日の診察に来てくれなかったのよ。留守電に入れた伝言にも返事がないし。
He didn't come in for his checkup 2 days ago. I tried calling his home, but there was no answer. 2 days ago, the same day Fuminori was searching that abandoned house. Koji frowns, wondering what was important enough for him to blow off his appointment.
彼、学校ではどんな様子？
What is he like at school?
どうもこうも。もうめちゃくちゃです。
He's totally messed up. Seeing Yo's shoulders jerk out of the corner of his eye, Koji regrets not choosing his words more carefully.
事故の前とまるで人が違ったみたいに見えます。
Since the accident, he's been like a completely different person.
僕たちもいろいろとどうしていいかわからなくて、それで今日は先生の話を伺えたらと。
We have no idea what to do, so we thought that talking to you might help.
あなたたちも医大生？
Are you medical students too? She asks out of nowhere.
はい。
Huh? Well, yes.
彼のカルテ見てみたいと思う。
Oh, and it's gonna be gone. Would you like to see his chart?
見せてくれるんですか、そんなもの。
He'd really show it to us? Koji replies, incredulous. I guess there's no doctor-patient, confidentiality here. Dr. Tambo regards
そう
him
思った
silently
人
for
が
a
いるみたい
moment,
なのよ。それも病院には無断でね。
then sighs and says, someone wanted to see it, and without the hospital's permission.
一昨日の晩、この病院に誰かが押し入ってね。
His
保
files
管
were
庫から
stolen from the
咲坂
archives
君
2
のカル
nights
テを盗ん
ago.
でいったの。
本当ですか？
What? She stares hard at the astonished students, then shakes her head with a tired smile.
まあ、あなたたちは無関係そうね。ちょっと安心したわ。
Well, it doesn't look like you two are involved. That's a relief.
当たり前です。
Of course we aren't.
でも、犯人は咲坂君の容体に興味があるか、それとも彼の治療記録を消したかったのか。
However, the culprit must have had an interest in his condition, or wanted to erase his records.
いずれにせよ、彼に関わりのある人間としか思えないわ。
Either way, I can only assume it was someone close to him.
はあ。
I see. An ominous thought flashes through Koji's mind. It couldn't have been Fuminori himself, could it? Koji looks at Dr. Tenbo and finds her staring right back at him, her expression grave. He realizes she must be harboring the same suspicion.
あなたには他に心当たりはない？咲坂君の知り合いでそういうことをやりかねないような人。
What do you think? Do you have any idea who might have done it? Perhaps Dr. Tenbo didn't have anyone in mind when she asked, but Koji's thoughts immediately fly to that eerie house to which Fuminori led him.
知り合いだか何なのか自分にもよくわからないんですが、多分医者か医学関係の人で、オーガイっていう。
I don't really know what their relationship is, but there's someone called Ogai, probably a doctor or a... Koji stops speaking as he sees the dramatic change that has come across Dr. Tambo's expression.
ご存知なんですか？
You know Dr. Ogai?
咲坂君がその男といつどうやって知り合ったのかわかる？
Do you know when and where Fuminori met that man?
いえ、こっちが知りたいぐらいです。先生、一体何者なんですか？あの
No.
オーガイっていう人は。
No, that's what I'd like to know. Just who is this Ogai? After remaining silent for some time, Dr. Tambo looses a heavy sigh.
いいわ。その気になれば簡単に調べがつくことだし。大貝正彦はうちの大学にいた教授よ。
Alright, it's not like you couldn't find out on your own. Ogai Masahiko was a doctor teaching at this hospital.
いろいろと不祥事があって、半年以上前に免職になったけど。
He was dismissed over 6 months ago, however, following certain incidents.
不祥事って一体何を？
What incidents? What did he do?
そこから先は部外者に話せることじゃないわ。どのみち、咲坂君には何の関係もないことよ。
I can't say anymore, and anyway, it has nothing to do with your friend. Koji has no argument with which to answer Dr. Tambo's flat rejection. However, he can't shake the feeling that this Ogai person is the key to unraveling the mystery surrounding Fuminori.
先生、もしかしたら咲坂文則は刑事事件に関わっているかもしれないんです。
Doctor, he says, making up his mind, Fuminori might be involved in a crime. At the sudden declaration, both Yo and Dr. Tambo raised their eyebrows.
どういうこと？
What do you mean?
彼を訪ねていったっきり行方不明になってしまった人間がいます。もちろん文則は否定していますが。
A friend of ours went missing after going to see him. Fuminori denies any involvement, of course.
それってオミちゃんのこと？
You mean Omi? Koji is unable to bear the shock in Yo's voice.
すまん、つくば。君には言えなかった。
Sorry, Tsukuba. I don't know how to say her name. Tsukuba? Tsukuba? I couldn't tell you. Dr. Tambo is frowning, her expression even more serious than before.
そのオーガイという人物が今文則の関心の焦点になっているらしいんです。
Right now, this Ogai seems to be the center of Fuminori's attention.
彼が何者で文則が彼の何について探っているのか、それが分かれば少しは事情が見えてくるかもしれません。
If we know who he is and what Fuminori is looking for, we might start to see the whole picture.
お願いです先生、教えてください。この病院で一体何があったんですか？
Please tell us, Doctor, just what happened at this hospital. Dr. Tambo hesitates for some time, refusing to make eye contact, but she finally shakes her head.
ごめんなさい。こればかりは私の一存で話せる事柄じゃないの。
I'm sorry, this is not a decision I can make on my own.
先生、
Doctor,
でも少しだけ待って。私は私なりにいろいろと調べてみる。 放っておける状況じゃないのはよく理解できたから。
Give me some time. I'll do my own investigating now that I know how far this has gone.
お願いします。
Please. Koji is out of options. All that's left is to trust this young doctor. It's frustrating, but a friend's rights only go so far.
お互い携帯の番号を交換しておきましょう。何か分かったら連絡するわ。あなたたちも何か新しい動きがあったらすぐに私に教えて。
Let's exchange cell phone numbers. I'll call you if I learn anything, and you call me the moment anything changes.
え
All
え、
right.
わかりました。
What the? What happened to me? Yosuke's awareness returns slowly as though rising from a bog. I can't believe he's still alive. I don't think for long, though. He's cold. No, hot. Something itches like tepid tongues and cold slugs crawling over his skin. What the hell is going on? Timidly, he opens his eyes. He's gonna be the next meal. What? It's everywhere. The thing that attacked him in the living room. It's everywhere. Terror shatters Yosuke's sanity. He throws off the thing lying atop him, but his wild flailing sends him crashing to the floor. But is it really the floor? The long, wriggling fibers of what should be the carpet are winding themselves around his fingers. The floor is made of worms. He tears his limbs free of the worms and tries to stand, but loses his balance and tumbles to the floor again. The worms immediately swarm over his body. Where am I? Where did this thing take me? Yosuke crawls across the worm-ridden floor towards the only exit from the pulsating room. When he gets outside, however, all he can see is blood, bile, and rotten meat. There is no place to run. What is this? Most terrifying of all, this hellish place has the same layout as Yosuke. Oh! Oh, so he's got the same thing that Fuminori has. I wonder if that's what Saya meant by, like, I'm gonna do some experimenting to see if she can give that same disorder to other people. The hellish place has the same layout as Yosuke's house. In a half-mad daze, he wanders through the nightmarish mockery of his home. In the small room where his studio should be, he finds an easel made of bones displaying a blood-soaked canvas. Like some cruel joke, everything is exactly where it would be in Yosuke's studio. Damn it, let me out! Let me out of here! Howling, Yosuke lashes out against everything within reach. The easel of bones shatters, driving splinters into his fist. He feels the pain, but does not wake from the nightmare. If this isn't a dream, then what is it? When his strength gives out, Yosuke falls to his knees sobbing. For the first time in his life, he prays. The sound of the door opening and closing grates on his ears. Downstairs? The front door? Is someone else here? We're home! Yosuke trembles at the blood-curdling sound. It's that thing again. The monster has returned. Oh, is he going to attack his wife? Oh. Daddy, we're home. Where's dinner? Oh? He's not here? Did he go shopping? When can we eat? Yosuke hears the sound of something slimy sloshing its way up the stairs. Oh, he is too. Even as he cowers in terror, he slides his trembling hand across the floor and grabs one of the bones from the broken easel. The tip of bone is nice and sharp. If he holds it in both hands and puts his weight behind it, he might be able to use it to defend himself. Honey, are you home? The monster's growls are getting closer. Holding his breath, Yosuke presses his back against the wall next to the door. Oh boy, it probably would have been better if he had just been killed instead of being in this nightmare. The pounding of his heart is like thunder in his ears, so loud he fears the creature might hear it. He knows it will eat him if it finds him again, but it's all he can do to keep from crying. At last, the door creaks open. Oh my gosh. Honey? Yosuke leaps on the creature as it enters, fear turning his roar into a high-pitched scream. Oh god, is he gonna kill his daughter too? The flesh beast is covered in sludge and vile juices, but before horror can paralyze him, Yosuke brings his bone stake stabbing down. The monster screams as the stake pierces its chest and punches through to the other side. It falls back, writhing in agony. The sight of its pain sets Yosuke's blood on fire. I can win! I can kill it! If If I finish it off before it enters my head again, I'm safe. Jeez. Yosuke grabs the bone and twists with all his might. The monster convulses and gurgles, its trembling tentacles reaching up as though begging for help. Die, die, die. Yosuke knocks it to the floor, then brings his heel crashing down on its flopping body again and again. With each stomp, it groans and spasms, growing weaker. When the monster at last stops twitching, Yosuke, panting hard, tears the stake from its corpse and rises to his feet. Oh no. Yep, he's gonna kill her. Daddy? Something squeaks? Yosuke turns around to see another smaller monster peeking out at him from the stair landing. Oh boy. There's still one left. His desperate, rage-filled attack both exhilarated him and gave him a taste for violence. This one will be easier. It's smaller and weaker. Jesus. Grinning maniacally, Yosuke raises his stake and moves towards the second creature. The monster flees screaming down the stairs. Not about to let his prey escape, Yosuke roars and gives chase. The thought that killing the monsters might end this nightmare feeds his savage bloodlust. No! No, Daddy, no! When the monster trips and falls in the dining room, Yosuke leaps on top of it and brings the stake crashing down. His bloodlust unsated, he pulls it free, then drives it again into the monster's flesh. Once, twice, 3 times, and more, until there's nothing left but shredded, pulverized meat. Jesus. Eventually, the only sound in the house is Yosuke's heavy breathing. He has slain 2 monsters, but the nightmare shows no sign of ending. Yosuke staggers to the front door and goes outside. The sky, the city, everything has gone mad. Twisted shapes, nauseating colors, stinking air. There's no escape, no end to the nightmare. The last remain of Yosuke's sanity vanishes like dust in the wind.
Konnichiwa, Oji-san.
Hi, mister. Yosuke turns to the sound of a girl's voice. She is standing in front of the house next door wearing a spotless one-piece over her pure white skin. In the midst of this filth-ridden world, she alone glows with beauty.
おじさんには私がどう見える?
How do I look to you, mister?
ああ、とっても可愛いよ。
You're very cute. Yosuke feels a sudden black lust rise within him. No!
本当?
No!
じゃあ実験は成功かも.
Really? Then the experiment might be a success. Yosuke walks up to the strangely jubilant girl and brushes his hand against her long, smooth hair.
こんな可愛らしい女の子は、この世界には君一人しかいないんだろうね。
Such a lovely girl. You must be the only one in the whole world.
おじさん?
Mister? She looks up at the man towering over her, perhaps disturbed by his hungry stare.
お嬢ちゃん、
What?
おじさんと遊んでくれるかい?
Okay, I know he's gone crazy, but he went from just like a mild-mannered like family man to all of a sudden like I'm going to do bad things to this little girl, and also he has a little girl, and ew. It's like she just sets off these like gross things in people.
いいけど何するの?
Oh, I don't know if I said how about we play a game, girl. Okay, but what are we going to do? A grin parts Yosuke's lips and he replies,
そりゃもう、おじさんが楽しめそうなこと全部さ。
everything that will please me, of course. It's like the game is saying like within every man is just the need to want to do bad things to little girls. All they need to do is just have their mind shattered, and this is like the first thing they want to do apparently. With that, he grabs the girl's collar and tears the front of her dress wide open. Jesus. Shock and fear twist the lovely girl's delicate features, stimulating Yosuke's sadism. Even after killing these 2 monsters, the embers of violence still smolder in his heart, and now they have new fuel to burn.
いい顔だよ、お嬢ちゃん。お
Ew.
じさんにもっと可愛らしい顔をして見せてくれないかい?
I felt bad for him at first, but now, ew. Ew, gross. Oh, I like that expression on you. Won't you show me an even prettier one?
Yeah.
No, no. The terrified girl flees into the Sakisaka house. Yosuke runs after her, feeling the joy of the hunt.
いや、来ないで!
No, stay away. Even in desperation, she has no hope of outrunning his longer stride. Yosuke charges down the hallway and catches up to her in the kitchen. Okay, so now I don't feel bad about him dying. Only I felt bad for, but He grabs her from behind and wrestles her to the floor before she can resist. Ugh.
離してそんなどうして
Oh, I am very glad they were blurring this out. Let me go. Why are you doing this?
だから言っただろう。お嬢ちゃんが可愛らしすぎるからだって。
Like I said, because you're too cute. Enjoying the sensation of her thin arms struggling futilely against his grip, Yosuke uses his weight to hold her down while ripping off her remaining scraps of clothing.
嫌だこんなの嫌やめて
I don't want this. Stop. Yosuke stares at the smooth, perfect body of the girl flopping beneath him. The thought of violating such an immaculate creature amid the horrors of this twisted world is irresistibly erotic. Ugh. Yosuke runs his tongue over her stomach and chest, as though preparing to eat her whole. She stiffens and whimpers at the sensation. I hope she eats you, and not in the fun way, in the gross way.
こんなはずじゃないのに
Oh, I'm waiting for Fuminori to come in and just fucking murder him, and then she's like, also, we can eat him, and that's what you've been eating this whole time. It isn't supposed to be this way. Her tear-choked voice satisfies Yosuke's lust for conquest. This nightmare has violated him, but now he is able to visit the same torment on this innocent girl. Where he was the victim, he is now the victimizer. The release he feels is intoxicating. No, stop! I'm scared! Fuminori! Haha, I haven't even done anything yet. Putting his mouth close to the sobbing girl's ear, Yosuke whispers, You're this scared already? How will you scream when I put it in you? Ugh! Come on, Fuminori. Help me, Fuminori. Oh, no. Alright, so that will wrap up part 2. Lot of ickiness. Lot of ickiness in this episode. I gotta kind of process what I just read. I have a feeling that this neighbor is not going to be meeting a great end once I'm assuming Fuminori is gonna step in and, you know, take care of that and then discover that he actually enjoys the taste of human flesh, and it's probably going to propel this whole thing where Saya and him are going to be hunting humans to eat and sustain themselves, and yeah, it's a fun time. Good times. Anyway, I hope you guys enjoyed this episode, and stay tuned to see what happens next. I can't imagine it's anything good. Okay, bye guys.